Hey, so Glenn's coming right now, and he has a story for us. So we're gonna go talk to some people that had an encounter. Oh, I think he just showed up. Hey, Glenn, how you doing?
Excellent.
All right, so let me know.
I'm
what
ready
do we
to go.
have?
Okay, so long time ago, I talked to a realtor in Florence, and she told me that her and her husband saw a Sasquatch creature crossing Highway 115 here on the way home from Springs back in '96. That was curious. First time I heard that. I'm still yet to interview her. Then I talked to these at the 4th of July parade in Florence. I was just asking people and talked to somebody, and they said they saw a Sasquatch creature crossing 115 mid-June of 2021?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. COVID. They saw a Sasquatch creature crossing Highway 115 in mid-June of 2021. And so he's going to show us specifically where it is, and we'll see what goes on.
Is that what we're going to right now?
That's where we're going to right now. It's somewhere by Fort Carson. I don't know exactly the location, so he's going to show it to us. I wore my bright white shirt so I can play Sasquatch and be visible instead of camouflaged and invisible. And then I also have a third account from some people that work at the Department of Corrections, who I don't know what year or when or where, but two of them were driving down from Colorado Springs, I think early one morning, and saw one of these Sasquatch creatures cross the road in front of them from Fort Carson, heading to the mountains.
Awesome.
And they both looked at each other and said, "Did you just see what I just saw?" And they were shocked at what they saw. So I haven't heard a description. This is pretty much going to be the first interview
Great.
with these people. So
Well, then let's go check it out.
yeah.
Okay. I'm in like a interesting, kind of color changing car. It looks black from afar, but when you get close up to it, it's like a really dark purple. In the sunlight, it looks a little bit more purple. It's like a Honda Civic.
Okay. Well, super. Well, I'll keep an eye peeled for you, and we'll just be waiting. And I'm excited about this because I told you about. I have a third account of somebody seeing something crossing 115.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to put all these together and find out specifically. Maybe it's all using exactly the same route. That would be really crazy. So.
That would be really crazy.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be me. My fiance and bride-to-be is going to be at work.
Okay. Well, super. Well, we'll get you. And one reason I wanted to have my friend Mateo with me is because that way I can play Sasquatch from distance. Like we'll pull over on the side and you can point out, where you saw this stuff, and we can play act a little bit and hopefully not get run over. And well, that way also gives you a sense of scale, right? And because that's one thing I've noticed is that people get surprised by the scale of these things when they're driving, and then you see somebody in the same location. It's like, holy crap. So I'm looking forward to seeing what your reaction is on that. So okay, well, we'll see you at that cutout, and if it probably takes you about 45 minutes to get up here.
Yeah. Unless I go really fast.
Yeah. Okay, AJ. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you, and we see you when you see you.
Okay.
Cheers.
See you when I get there.
Okay, bye.
So you can see a little bit of the 115. So we just met AJ, and he's willing to be on camera. We found the spot. It's a little further up ahead. They're getting their vehicles and they're gonna drive up to the spot, so it's just more convenient. As you can see behind me, there are like people that live here, you know, sporadically, but there is a lot of like open space, as you can probably tell, like around me. And we still have the 2 million acres of Pikes Peaks, and we have the 2 million acres of Pikes Peak National Forest, just like right over here, basically. So there's still a ton of wilderness here and water. There's like a little creek over here next to us. And apparently it was up around this corner that we're coming around. They were driving late one night and they saw one crossing. And so we're gonna get his story here in a second and get the juicy details.
Okay, so this is AJ. I'm Glenn. So I met AJ at the Florence Wet Dry Parade this last year, July 4th, and we were talking about weird stuff, and he told me about his story that his fiance and fiance's brother whole family saw while driving on Highway 115, and it was a very intriguing story. And so I'll just let you start from the top. Just walk us into it. Tell us what happened, and give us every detail you can find.
All right. So we were just coming down the highway. We were. It was a long day in Springs. We were just hanging out as a family, and well, it was late at night. I want to say it was around like 11 to midnight. It was pretty late at night. There was no other cars in the middle of the highway or anything. We were just coming down the hill. Family was exhausted. They were kind of falling asleep. They were all a little sluggish. So as we were coming down the hill and going around the corner, that's when something really tall, something really lanky, just booked it right across the street. And it didn't take no time for it to just go wham, just straight across. And I pressed on the brake as hard as I could. And my family was, my fiance and her little brother were like, what was that? Because as soon as I pressed down on that brake, they saw its hands disappearing into the bushes right across the street.
So you guys are traveling at highway speeds down. First off, when was this?
Geez.
Was it mid-June?
It was about mid-June.
Okay, mid-June 2021.
Yes.
You guys are driving down from Colorado Springs heading to Canyon City.
Yes.
And it's about midnight. So when you cross over this, how far away was this figure when it busted out of the bushes?
Oh man. I'm not good at like measuring, but it was pretty close for me to be able to see its features, its long arms, its long legs, its body. There was no hair on it. It was more of a red skin tone type of thing. I didn't get a look at its head or anything else because I just saw its arms and its legs.
So I'm trying to build the picture. So you hit your brakes.
Yes.
Because you were afraid of hitting this thing.
Yeah.
But by the time you passed it, it was already on the other side of the highway.
Yeah.
That's fast.
It was pretty fast.
I will take a measurement, but I think this highway is about 100 feet wide-ish. How many steps do you think it took to get across that?
I'm pretty sure it took about, oh my goodness. I know I said 7 to 10, but I think it was like 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
8 to 10 steps.
So it was pretty fast. So I'm going to get up there. We'll video it. It's a Sunday morning. I'll try and run across that and see how fast I can make it across and all that.
Yeah.
But so you didn't come to a complete stop.
No,
You kept rolling past. What was, so you saw, how tall do you think this thing was? And again, when I get up there, I think you'll get a different sense of scale.
Yeah.
But how tall do you think this thing was?
As tall as I think it was either 7 to, it was tall, basketball player. But probably, possibly even taller than a basketball player.
Okay. And you said it didn't have any hair that you saw.
No, didn't see any hair.
You described
on its head.
Yeah. What about its head? Did you see
Uh,
any hair on its head?
there might have been, and that's just coming from like just trying to memorize the creature, whatever the heck it was. There, I there might have been some hair on it because
Okay.
I was not able to see its head because it was black. It was just covered in black. It was at night, so there
Okay.
had to be some sort of hair for me to not be able to like remember seeing its head.
Okay. But it had no clothes on.
No clothes on. No discerning male or feature characteristics or anything. It was just skin.
Just skin. Now you described it kind of naked mole rat,
Like,
which is kind of crazy. So, was the skin taut, or was it? Could you tell if it was? I'm picturing those shaved cats, those naked cats,
yeah,
and they're all wrinkly.
no wrinkles.
No
It was
wrinkles.
taut.
It was taut. Was
It
it
was taut
muscular?
Taut, semi-muscular because it was very lanky. It was a lanky creature.
Okay. Did you see its muscle tone?
Yes, saw its muscle.
So it was like
tones.
defined
It
almost.
was
Yeah, it was-
defined,
it was
but just super lean. If you had to take a guess, and I know it's very, very hard, how much do you think this thing would have weighed? I mean, I'm 6 foot tall, currently 205 pounds. Is it skinnier than me,
Skinnier than you.
Mateo?
I'm 153 pounds.
153 pounds, and it was taller than you.
Yeah.
It was definitely taller than you.
What about build wise?
Build wise, almost to it.
Okay.
So it obviously doesn't have very much fat on it at all.
Yeah.
Like it's very lean. Because I'm lean.
That's
Right.
awesome. Okay, so, but no clothes.
No clothes.
You couldn't tell any genital features.
No genital features at all.
What about proportion wise? How big was his hands in proportion to the body?
The hands were big.
Were big.
They were big hands, very skeletal-like hands.
Okay.
So everything.
Did you? I realize it's only for a moment you see it. Were they 5 digits?
5 digits.
5 digits.
Can you just adjust just a little bit?
Sure.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
5 digits. Did it have? I realized momentarily. Did it have a thumb?
Yes, it had a thumb.
It had a thumb.
Because it was running.
It was running.
Does it have claws? Or more like...
It looked a lot. It looked like claws, but
Okay.
nothing shimmery. I don't think it was like actual claws. It just looked like skin bone. Skin
Okay.
bone, really long.
How did it make you feel?
Seeing it made me terrified.
Yeah.
It actually made me terrified because I remember just driving down, and all of a sudden I just see this big giant figure just bolted across, and as the light was shining on it, I knew that this thing wasn't normal. It was definitely something that was not an animal. It wasn't a deer just on its 2 legs running across the street or anything, because that was my thought. Like, it was just a weird deer on its 2 legs for some reason, just running across. But no, it had legs, it had arms, and it ran across. And I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not making this up. I know I wasn't tired, because my fiance and her little brother were still awake enough to see that there was hands going into the bushes right across the street.
Thank you. The head. I know you didn't get a good look at the head. You'd mentioned a deer on 2 legs.
Yeah.
Did it appear to have a humanish head, or did it have like a deerish head? Did it have a snout of any sort?
No, I didn't see a snout as far as I can remember. There
Okay.
might have been, I'm not too sure, but it was just a huge blur.
Just a huge
Like,
blur.
it was a blur. I was still able to see its features, just the proportions of it all.
Now, when it ran across, so when you see sprinters running, they're usually down and arms are just pumping like mad, and big high steps, and they're pumping. Runners, distance runners, are generally more upright.
Upright.
It was upright.
It was upright. It wasn't down in a sprint. It was upright and just running along, just like nothing.
How I'm trying to figure out how much of an arm swing was it? Was it minimal or was it like
It was-
crazy big arm swing?
It was
Or what?
about crazy swing. About
Okay.
crazy swing, because I was able to see it like that
Okay.
going across.
Okay, because that's I mean, even a sprinter's going to have big arm swing.
Yeah.
A long distance runner doesn't. So this thing was definitely moving, but it was upright
And it was sprinting.
and it was sprinting.
Sprinting speed.
Wow. Did it jump over anything on its way into the?
No, it stepped over.
It stepped over. So there's a guardrail here. You don't think it came over the guardrail? You think it came out of the grass?
It might have come out. I'm pretty sure it came out from the grass.
Okay.
But if anything, the legs were long enough to just easily.
Right over the guardrail. Is there any? What else?
So we know how like it made you feel terrified, which is anyone's first reaction. How has it changed you now, though? Are you comfortable going to the forest, or how do you feel right now being back in this area?
Being back in the I'm one of those. There's plenty of stories. There's a lot. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that have seen certain things, and I'm not. Honestly, I'm not that surprised. I'm not surprised. Colorado has a lot of wooded area. It has a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about. A lot of caves. A whole bunch of unknowns out there. Going camping wise, I have my little regards here and there about going camping, and especially since the family really wants to go camping now. But in a sense, I'm not too scared of going down the highway. I am a lot more vigilant, I would say.
But you're probably not going to camp here in this area.
No, not necessarily.
The feet. Did you notice anything on its
Yes.
feet?
Again, skeletal features. Like, definitely the skin was very taut. It had really big feet, too.
Really big feet.
Really big feet.
Was it running? Was it on its toes when it was running, or was the heel striking as well? Or do you remember?
I don't remember, because by the time I got close enough towards it... Oh, man, let's see. No, it was on its heels. It went on its heels.
It touched its heel, so
Touched
it was
its
it was a full thing. It wasn't just on its toes.
Yeah, it wasn't just on its toes. It was a full thing.
Okay. Did you notice anything peculiar? I mean, again, it's a flash, it's a moment. I totally get that. But what did you drill down on this figure?
What I drilled down on was definitely its arms and legs.
Its arms and legs.
Its arms and legs. The arms were really long. It was going past knees.
Past knees.
Like, fingers past knees. That's how long its arms were. And its legs were tall. Right about there. Towards your, a little bit lower.
Wow.
Lower abdomen. That's kind of where its legs were at.
Okay. Did you notice anything? Any weird? I mean, so the figure is very tall, very lanky. Were the proportions particularly like? Did it still seem in proportion, or is like those legs are awfully long for what it is, or the arms are really long for what it is?
It was pretty proportioned to the size of what it was.
Okay, so it's not like you're going because people talk about Bigfoot having from the knee to the foot actually shorter than the thigh, right? Because our knees are about in the middle. Would you have said that's the same thing with this?
But the arms and legs, the hands definitely were out of proportion to us.
The hands were definitely out of proportion because the hands were big.
And so when you say skeleton, you mean like you could just see like a lot of definition of the bones and muscle?
Yes.
Okay.
We're like on us. I'm just trying to get proportional things.
Yeah.
On us, from my shoulder to my elbow to my wrist, is pretty much equivalent.
Yeah.
Same thing with this, or were they different?
Same thing with that. Just
longer.
Just long. Everything from going from here to down here, it would be about like right to there, and then the forearms would go up more, and then the hands were definitely bigger.
Okay, and then so when it ran, I want to get back to proportions. When it ran, was its hands slappy or clappy?
Clap.
It was clappy, so it was this way.
It was this one.
Okay. Proportion of leg, again, for us, it's generally half, the knee is halfway down.
Yeah.
Same thing with this?
Same thing with this. Had knees.
Knees about halfway.
Yeah, about halfway to what its proportions were.
Okay.
So, pretty much very humanoid, but not really humanoid.
But not really, just stretched out.
Yeah, stretched out.
Wow, that's
Did
crazy.
Did it have like large shoulders,
It had, oh my goodness, I remember its back. Yes.
like a strong back,
Yeah, strong back.
and were the shoulders like developed too?
Yes.
What about the triceps? Even though it was
Triceps, triceps, yeah, a little developed, forearms, little developed. Everything was like toned, but lanky.
that might allow it it might be evidence to suggest it can go on all fours with how long like its arms were and its shoulder muscles to engage them.
It seems, I would say, by the way it was built, it was most likely able to scale things easily, no problem.
Almost
No,
like Smeagol, like
Yeah.
Golem. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like no matter what kind of terrain it was, no matter how steep or 90-degree angles, it could do it.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned when he asked about the muscles, you said the back. What about the back grabbed you? Because you reacted to that. What about the back grabbed you?
I thought it was just very muscly. Like it had a lot of muscle on its back for
Could you-
sure, and it was if we were to go shoulder blades kind of area, that was outwards a little bit.
Okay, so like super built in the back.
Yeah.
Okay. Did it have a neck?
Oh goodness, man! Why can't I remember everything else but its
Well,
head?
it's fine because
Yeah.
people glom on, in a momentary thing. You glom onto one or two details, and other things just blur out. So I totally understand that. But do you remember if it had a neck?
I'm thinking it through. I'm pretty sure it had a neck. I know it must have. See, I every time I try to remember its head, it had to have had some sort of black hair. Some sort of black hair because I was unable to see its face. I was unable to see the rest of its head. It shot past like a blur. But I do remember seeing just black on its head.
Okay. And it didn't look at you.
Didn't look at us.
It just straight across didn't even acknowledge your presence.
No, did not. And honestly, looking back on it, I'm really happy it didn't acknowledge our existence.
Yeah. Okay. So while we're walking back, we were talking about your friend's experience up on Bar Trail, and he saw a gray figure. You said yours was kind of moleskin, or not moleskin.
Naked
mole rat.
skin.
I'm walking past here and I was looking at the dirt, which is red. Do you think, and maybe it's hard to, maybe you couldn't tell, could it have been that was rubbed on? Or do you think it was truly pink skin? I mean, I know it was only a momentary flash.
Oh, momentary flash. Okay, looking back on it, I don't think it put dirt on it. And one of the other things that I do remember is that there was some red. Like, not like blood or anything, but it had red streaks. Like going up its arms. Like mix it. Kind of like if we were to remove our skin, that's the kind of color. Like some parts still skin, but some parts flesh.
Okay.
That's how it looked.
No, okay, so when you get blood poisoning, right? When a spider bites you, you'll get these streaks up your arm from, I don't know what that is. It's some weird thing, but a friend of mine had it happen. You know, you get from the bite, you get these tendrils that kind of look up. Is that what you're talking about? Or was it like a...
No.
No.
It was like if you were to like peel off skin. That's what it looked like.
Okay.
Like a wound almost.
Not like wound, but
Oh, when you have a tan and then like it kind of breaks off in certain places and it's a
Yeah.
lot lighter color.
it's like oh god, it's a shame putting it like this. It's like a werewolf movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the guy turns into a werewolf and you start seeing his skin kind of like peel off.
Interesting.
It
But it
was
wasn't
kinda like
peeling
that.
off. It just had that discoloration.
Yeah, it had that kind of discoloration where some parts were red and some parts were still skin.
Interesting. Which would help as a pattern
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, because it
For
breaks up. It
camouflage.
breaks up the. It's a camouflage, effectively, you know. But I just, when we were walking past this, I was wondering if it was like, you know, taking a handful of red dirt and rubbing it on. If that was what you had seen, and you know, if like that didn't stick, which is interesting. And I don't know. Do you remember if it rained?
No, it was no rain.
No rain.
This was mid-June.
Okay.
Right.
Because basically, I wanted to ask you about the size of the hands.
Yeah.
You said big. I'm trying to get a sense of what the scale is of this hand. Oh, are you running it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you mentioned that the hands were big.
Yeah.
What? When you say big, how big are we talking? I mean, are they were they proportional to the arms, or were they bigger than proportion to the arms?
They were bigger than proportion to the arms.
Okay.
They were definitely way bigger.
So, like, our hand is about, you know, a third the size of the forearm.
No, this guy was bigger. It was definitely bigger.
Would you have said the hand is the same length as, like, the forearm?
About. I
Really?
would say like about the same size as a forearm. Like looking
Of its
forearms, because it was definitely longer. Like if I were to be whatever.
If it was your hands.
If it was my hands, it would be like about that long.
So about the same length as your forearm. Okay, now this is micro, but maybe you noticed it, maybe you didn't. Were its fingers straight? Were they bent? Could you tell if there were extra knuckles? Or fewer knuckles or anything like that? Was there anything that was...
No, it did keep its fingers apart as it was running. Kind of like how I'm doing right now.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of how it ran was like that.
Okay.
The fingers and knuckles about the same as about the ones we
Except just bigger.
just
longer.
longer.
Did it seem also wider? Like wider as well? I mean, some people talk about Sasquatch having hands the size of a frying pan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's not only lengthwise, but it's also just like a catcher's mitt, massive.
Yeah.
Would you think that, or you said it was kind of skeletal? So I'm
Yeah,
trying
it was skeletal, so it wasn't wider, it wasn't bigger.
So
But
more narrow
as-
but longer.
Yeah. Narrow. but
Okay, thank you. I mean, any other niggly little details that you can come up with?
At this time, no, unless we speak again.
Fair enough.
Probably
Fair
have
enough.
a little bit more things, because
Awesome.
it's definitely going to be something to be talking about on the dinner table of like what everyone saw.
Well, yeah, exactly. Cool, thank you.
So we were coming right down the road, going about like 65s, going pretty fast. We were right here in this middle, on this left lane, and right about here, is when I saw something big just run right across, and right about when it gets to the right lane, that's when I broke, and everyone lurched forward in the car. No screech or anything, but as everyone was lurching forward, it already was going into the bushes.
Perfect. Are you
Perfect.
okay?
Yep.
No. Yeah.
So he says it was about as tall as that tree right there.
A little bit lower. You
I
see
can
where?
almost reach 8
Yeah,
feet.
like where his fingertips are. That's as tall as it was.
So, as you were passing it, the closest would have been when it was off your left front fender.
Yeah. And as soon as it came over to this side, my family was able to kind of look back and kind of see to the left as we were passing it, of its hands just disappearing into the darkness of this thicket over here.
But you got to within, the closest you were to this was about 25 feet.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
When I ran across this thing, I was going faster than my legs could go. That's the reason I almost tripped. But That must have been 15 or so steps. We'll have to measure that, but
Yeah, maybe more. It was a lot of steps.
it was a lot of steps. As I was going, I was starting to, I was wanting to count, but I was trying to pump too fast. And I was going as fast as I could. I'm not a sprinter, but
Like I said, it just took it like, trying to remember it, it took like maybe eight to 10 strides just